Okay, I'm going to show you how to derive the quadratic formula. I'm going to start out writing the formula for a quadratic equation in general form. It's ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. This is the general form of a quadratic equation. What I'm going to show you is how to write this to solve. What we're going to do here is solve for x, and we're going to get the quadratic formula. So in order to do this, we need to use completing the square. We can't put it in the quadratic formula because we're deriving the quadratic formula. We can't factor it because we don't have numbers that are factorable here. So the only way that we can solve this quadratic formula is by completing the square. So in order to do that, you'll notice the coefficient has to be 1, and it's not, it's a. So we have to divide every term by a. So I'm going to do that first. X squared plus b over a x plus c over a equals 0. First step in completing the square is you have to get a coefficient of 1 in front of the x squared term, or the z squared, or whatever variable you have squared term. Now we need to complete the square. So we write down the first two terms and we leave a blank because we need to put the third term, and we have to kick this guy over to the other side, so we're going to subtract it from both sides, and whatever we add to this side we also have to add to this side because we want to keep our equation balanced. Now to get your perfect square term here, what you do is you take this term, you divide it by 2. So I'm dividing it by 2, so it's b over 2a now, and then we square it. That's how you get your perfect square to complete your perfect square trinomial. So I'm going to write that down here, b squared over 4a squared. And that, since we added it to this side, we have to add it to this side. Now we have ourselves a perfect square trinomial. Perfect square trinomials can be factored into x squared plus b over 2a quantity squared. There would be 2 of them if you did the FOIL method of factoring. You'll notice that this right in here is the same. It's just, you're really just writing that down because that's the square root of this. And then on this side, we can put all this over one denominator. We'll say it's 4a squared. And so we have negative, we need to multiply the bottom by 4a and the top by 4a. Negative 4ac plus b squared. Now we take the square root of both sides, square root of this side, square root of this side, and it's going to be the plus or minus square root. Then we will get x plus b over 2a equals the square root, and I'm just going to switch the order around, b squared minus 4ac over square root of this would just be 2a, and we have still our plus or minus. Now we just have to get x by itself, we have to subtract that from both sides, so we get x equals negative b over 2a plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a, and finally we can just say x equals 2a on the bottom, common denominator, same denominator, so we get negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. And you can see we just took the initial quadratic equation, we solved it for x, and ta-da, we get the quadratic formula. Hopefully that was entertaining for you.